Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Hope you're enjoying the last part of the summer here. There are a couple of new LDS hymns out in the digital release, and wanted to talk about these two new sacrament songs and just take a closer look at them. And also, I want to put in a learning guide, some downloads where you can learn your tenor, alto, bass part. And so first, let's take a look at these. We've got, let's see, first of all, if we go to again, these can be found in the music library, and want to do First Bread of Life, Living Water, page 1008. And so this was written, so we look to the bottom here, or on the side, either way. Annette Dickman in 2011, so a few years before the church announcement of the new hymns and request for hymn submission. And the name of the tune, Healing Grace. And you'll notice now that at least these hymns have the scripture citations right at the top under the title, which is a little different. So first, let's take a listen and hear what it sounds like. Beautiful hymn and beautifully sung there. Just a couple things harmonically that stood out to me that I wanted to mention, as if I can share this other screen. I've got some notes. First, if you look at, it has the use of this half step intervals. So if you look at the end of that first staff there, that where it says "whoa," you've got this half step interval. Sounds a little dissonant, but in context of the chord, it's quite pretty, and that kind of resolves on the next chord. And so you see that at least just, I guess, one time there. But I think it's really has a beautiful sound to it. There's also, if you look at the brackets there, like in the middle here, with on the third staff, "Feed my soul," then you have this full step interval, and then very nice with the chord though. So interesting use of that interval. And here again on the last line, "eternally." So you have this same half step, but it's context of the chord. So you'll see a little bit more modern chords in the new hymns. You have, minor 7 chords, major 7 chords, a little bit more modern sound. Another thing I thought was very interesting about this is if you look at the use of what we call inverted chords, so chords that don't have the root in the bass, they have another note in the chord as the bass. So if you look at the end of this next to last staff, right at the end there where it says, and make me whole, complete and holy. So on complete, this chord right here is, I notate it as a B flat chord with a different note in the bass with the C. And then it's really interesting because every chord that comes after that is an inverted chord. B flat with a D root, F with a C root, and so on. So if you look at that, there's 7 chords in a row of inverted with a different root note. So that's really interesting too, as you kind of compare that with the text of the hymn. Make me whole, complete, and holy. Those chords kind of denote kind of an incompleteness or transitioning to something else. You wouldn't end a song on a chord like that. It begs to transition somewhere. So I think that's interesting. Maybe that puts the emphasis on becoming something through Christ, becoming complete and holy through him. So I thought that was a pretty interesting use of that harmony. Okay, looking now at page 1007, as bread is broken. Let's take a look at that. This one is written by Stephen A. Reynolds in 2018. So just about the time the church made the request to submit original hymns. And the tune name here is Wheeler Park. Again, we have some scripture citations. And then also at the bottom, some notes from the composer about how the scriptures tie into the message or the text of the hymn. So let's take a listen.
As bread is broken, we think of thee, thy broken body on Calvary. May we remember thy suffering sore, with broken hearts thy grace implore.
Again, a really pretty hymn. This one, I think, has some interesting harmonics to it as well, which I want to explore a little bit. Okay, as you look at the chord, the beginning here, I think he makes interesting use of these parallel sixths. So you have its 6 intervals in the soprano and the tenor part, and they move together, and so that's what we call them parallel 6. They stay within the major scale that the hymn is in, key of C. And this is used a lot in music in general and in the hymns as well. If you look at, for example, from the existing hymns, 221, Dear to the Heart of the Shepherd, you all know this hymn. So again, you have these parallel 6 intervals this time, just with the alto and the soprano scene now. Also, if you look at page 216, We Are Sowing. You have the same thing going on here. Oh, sorry, wrong key. does, goes on and on that way, but here's the sixth. So that's made use of quite a bit. Let's see if there are any others. Guess that's really all I wanted to point out. Oh, actually, there's one more. At least one more. Page 102, Jesus, lover of my soul. Okay, let's get the right key. So we have it quite a bit here. So it goes on and on. Okay, so, and you might know of a lot of, secular music that has the same thing. This tune right here, I'm sure everybody knows. Same thing. So, I don't know, just kind of an interesting thing that I noticed. If we look at also the, again, as in the last sacrament hymn, the use of these half-step intervals. As you look at, they're circled here in my notes, this third measure. Actually, the end of the second measure, but used in that C major 7 chord on think of, the on of. I think this F chord with that suspended fourth is really pretty. Again down here at the third staff on broken, with broken hearts. There's a half step interval, but in this chord. And then again, the use of, in the square brackets, the full step intervals, as in implore, the very last word of the hymn. So, similar use of these tight intervals in both these hymns. I think in general, again, the modern hymns have a lot of major 7 chords, minor 7 chords that you kind of don't see in the older hymns. I guess older music in general. But it's interesting, for example, like if you look at these 2 chords in the end of the second staff there on May We Remember Thy Suffering. On suffering, he uses 2 minor 7 chords in a row. So as May We Remember, so remember, these 2 chords right here. D minor 7, E minor 7. So 2 in a row there. You could just stay on May We Remember and just stay on the C. But it adds, I think, some interest to have those 2 minor 7 chords. This is like this. So if you count the major 7 and minor 7 chords used in these 2 hymns, I count 17. It's kind of hard to find, these chords used in the legacy hymns, used in, kind of in an intentional way. Anyways, but they are out there. If you note some, let me know, because I would be interested. But there are some. Like if you look at our hymn 169, As Now We Take the Sacrament, the text was written by L. Tom Perry. And this hymn, I think, was published first in 1985. So it's kind of a modern-ish hymn, but it does have this major 7 chord at the end. So you probably all this will sound familiar. A major 7 chord. So, but yeah, if you find it on the older hymns, let me know. Okay, so anyways, I put a couple of, I intend to put a couple of downloads of some part learning guides that you can download that will highlight your part, whether that's bass, tenor, alto. And so feel free to explore that. Maybe that helps us to learn our parts on these new hymns that we're not as familiar with. But, you know, I think we talk about harmonics and all kinds of things with hymns, but, you know, I think the sacrament hymns have just a powerful, well, spiritual power. And to help us kind of reflect on the purpose of, you know, the sacrament. And I think these two hymns will be no different. I think when people learn these, we're going to find that they will be, you know, very good in helping us reflect on the purpose of the sacrament. So anyway, that's it. Let me know if you have comments, questions, and I will try to get those downloads. I think we're going to enjoy these new hymns. Till next time.